are some more genetics problems. And so our job now is to analyze what they're giving us and try to determine the type of inheritance. Not all traits follow Mendel's 3 rules. Some traits follow different patterns of inheritance, meaning how are they given to the offspring and how do they show up in the offspring. So previously we talked about dominant and recessive, that one was stronger, and that's the one that showed up. In this problem, it tells us that we're looking at goldfish, and some are purple, some are red, and some are blue. So this tells us there isn't a dominant and a recessive. We've got a little bit something else going on here. If we look at the relationship between purple, red, and blue, and this is the offspring, and these are the parents, this tells us that we're seeing a blending, right? Red and blue blend to make purple. So this is not dominant recessive. This is actually incomplete dominance, where they blend or mix. The fish isn't spotted, isn't checkered. It's not red, it's not blue. It's a blending of red and blue, and that's called incomplete dominance. And so now we want to be able to work this problem. We know the pattern of inheritance. We can assign the alleles. Remember, for incomplete dominance, we have to write our letters a little differently. So we give one version a capital letter. The other version gets the same letter, but with an incomplete symbol on it. So blue would actually be R prime. It's a little unusual. The R prime doesn't seem to tell us much about blue, except it does remind us that we're talking about incomplete dominance. This prime symbol looks a little bit like the letter I. So Frankie's genotype and phenotype, well, we know his phenotype is purple. That means that he's getting one letter, so let's go through and look at his mom's genotype and phenotype. His mom is red. His dad was blue. Well, we know what letters the red fish would have. The red fish would have to have capital R, capital R. Frankie's dad, the blue fish, would have to have R prime to be blue, and another R prime because he's blue. So now when we look at this Punnett square, we actually can figure out the genotype of Frankie. He had to get one R from mom and an R prime from dad. So he has a red allele and a blue allele, and they mixed to make purple. The next question, if Sally is a red fish, well, let's look at what Sally is. Sally's red. Sally must be R for red, second letter, R for red. We know that Frankie is R prime. And Sally claims that Frankie is the father of her baby blue fish. So if we look at what Frankie and Sally could have had, Frankie is R prime. Sally is R. So we fill in the Punnett square. And a blue fish would actually have to be R prime, R prime. Do we see any R primes? No. Frankie could not be the father in this situation. So here's what we have to keep in mind. We have to read the problem carefully. We have to look for the clues. Anytime we see blending or mixing with this third phenotype, we know it's incomplete. And we assign the incomplete letters on the alleles. So that's incomplete dominance. If we go through now, we can look at another example. In a galaxy far, far away, robots can be made of two metals, gold or silver. R5D5 is a robot made of silver. He's the father of R66, a robot made of both gold and silver. So not a mixture, but part gold, part silver. So anytime I see both or the word equal, I know that this is going to be co-dominant. So this is another type of inheritance. Co-dominance is going to be where they both show up equally. So other examples are like spotted or striped. If the allele for S is silver, what would be the allele for gold? Well, we have to write our letters differently. Again, we can't use capital and lowercase because that means one is stronger and one is hidden. We can't use that prime symbol, so what we end up using is actually two different letters. S for silver and G for gold. What is the genotype for R5D5? Made all of silver would have to be big S, big S. That's the robot, that is silver. R66 is made of both gold and silver. So we have to have a silver, we have to have a gold. Gold and silver. They didn't mix. You see both. What must have been the genotype for the mother? Well, R66 had to get this from somewhere, so this means that mom had to have a big G. Actually, don't know her second letter. She could be big G, or big G, big S. The gold allele and the silver allele. Either of these would have worked for her to give the gold allele to her robot child. And so we actually don't know the phenotype. There's really not enough information there. R66 meets another silver and gold robot, and they have baby robots. So silver and gold, they have baby robots. So then we draw our Punnett square. GS, gold and silver. Turns out they could have an offspring that has two golds. A gold and silver, and an offspring that's all silver. So yes, they could have a baby. 1 out of 4 would be all gold. So this is just another chance to do a little bit more practice with these genetics problems. The big thing is that you're able to recognize when we are different types of inheritance. So another thing that we can do is we can kind of work backwards to see what the inheritance is. Here we've got a black dog, a white dog, and all the puppies are black. They're not spotted, they're not gray, they're all black. So this means that they had to be, the trait is dominant recessive. Which one do you think is dominant? If black and white means they all come out black, black is dominant. So then you should be able to assign a letter to the black dog and give them 2 letters. Especially, right, we might think that we're here with not knowing the second letter, but all the puppies come out black. So I think we know this next letter. Cats have either long tails or short tails, and then we have a ratio, 3 long-tailed to 1 short-tailed. So see if you can work this challenge problem. Let's look at number 4. Mama was a big cockroach, Papa was a little, all the babies are medium. So they're not all big, they're not all little. So it can't be dominant recessive. Dominant recessive is either one or the other. Co-dominance means they're both there. Am I seeing some long legs and some short legs? No, the cockroaches are medium. They're in the middle. They must be a blend. So then we should be able to assign letters and work out a Punnett square. Keeping in mind that incomplete complete means I use that little prime symbol. One more example to look at is a farmer's been keeping track of his cows. The red cow mates with a cow that is red and white, and it spots. So anytime I see and, or both showing up together, I know it's codominant. And I know to assign a capital letter to one and another capital letter to the other. So this is just a little bit more practice in case you would like to go through how to work these problems.